All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Outside the Barn. I say the final episode of the 2022-2023 season. I say, probably not the greatest season. We can all be honest, but you know what, fellas? Let's go ahead and get into it today. We owe the people, some conversations from talk about the season. So let's tip things off. Blake, Trev, first off, how we feeling today? How's everything going, man? It's March Madness. The Gophers aren't in it, but it still kind of feels good, right? It's kind of basketball season, March Madness time.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite time of the year. The Thursday and Friday of March Madness is always special. Filling out the bracket, watching games nonstop, seeing buzzer beaters. It's not better times. I obviously wish the Gophers could have made it to the dance and had a little better season, but obviously the only way is to go up for next year. So it's kind of good. Get this season over with. We want to forget about it, move on to next year, and watch the rest of March Madness.
Yeah, I'm excited to get going, watch the tournament. My bracket's already busted pretty much. I think Arizona had them going to the Final Four. Virginia probably pretty deep too. So, but other than that, I'm just excited to watch the games and to see who comes out on top.
Y'all think the Big Ten gonna do anything this year, man? We gotta talk about it, right? What's going on? Why does the Big Ten never really do much in the tournament? Why aren't we successful?
I'm a guard. I was a guard, but I just think, unfortunately, come tourney time, guards are crucial. Not that bigs aren't, but guards are crucial. And generally, the teams that are experienced from a guard position, handling pressure, not turning over the ball, those are the teams that tend to do well. And not saying the Big Ten never has guards, but I would say, generally speaking, the Big Ten's more geared towards bigs and power forwards and high lows, things like that. So it's just a different style of play, than the Big Ten season. That's kind of my thought. So I always try to pick teams to win it that have good guard play.
That makes sense.
Agreed. I think that's what it is too. I think for the first time in the last few years too, I've seen a lot of teams with different identities. I think a lot of times when we get to the tournament, we see teams who press for the first time or play certain types of ways and we're not really accustomed to doing. So just seeing the Marylands and the Rutgers starting to press more, kind of give us different looks than we're accustomed to. Because a lot of teams, when we're in there, everybody, whoever's the biggest, the strongest, you're going to have a couple shooters and some good guards. But everybody knew for the most part, we all played the same. Some teams slowed it down like a Northwestern, Wisconsin, but some teams just try to get out and do as much as possible. So I think now, hopefully, we're seeing a little bit different team identities, which might help us moving forward also.
I think we talked about this in another podcast, but I was doing this trivia with some buddies of mine the other day. But do you guys remember the last time a Big Ten team won the national championship?
Yeah, it's 2000, right?
2000, Michigan State. That's to be a conference like ours and not win one in 23 years. That's pretty rough. 22 years.
Well, that's the thing. It's when we say a conference like ours, it's maybe it's just us telling ourselves we're really good. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, are we really that great? You know what I mean? I don't know. That might be a conversation.
I think historically speaking, this is just me. I think the Big Ten has always been deep, meaning a lot of good teams. But unfortunately, every so often, we get a top 4 team. This year we got Purdue, right, the number 1. But even this year, no one really knows. That's why everyone filling out a bracket. It's kind of I don't know who's going to win. We've never had that team in the Big Ten for a long time. And if we did, they ended up losing. But that team that's just the number 1 in the country, no one's going to touch them. The back in the day, North Carolinas, the Dukes, teams like that just ran away with it. The Louisville back in 2008 or 9, whenever it was. The Big Ten just hasn't had a team like that in a long time. But we've always been deep. We've had a lot of teams go in that I shouldn't say we shouldn't have gotten in or the team shouldn't have gotten in. We've had good teams. We just haven't had that many great teams recently.
Agree, man.
The last team I could think of probably was maybe the Ohio State team, who they're top 5 for most of the season with Kraft and Sullinger. Maybe Indiana, you say, with Zeller and Cody. They were 1 seed, right?
Really?
The Illinois team with the 3-headed monsters with Darren Williams and Luther Head.
Yeah.
But that was 2005.
That team should have won, though. That might be my favorite Big Ten team of all time.
Not mine too.
Yeah.
Luther Ed, D. Brown, man, they were the real deal.
For sure. All right, man. Well, enough about Big Ten. Let's move on to Gopher talk. So let's go through the X's and O's of the season, man. Let's keep it short, man. Let's just get right to the point. I'm gonna open it up with you, Trev. What's your overall thoughts on the Gopher season and Ben Johnson era, second season?
Obviously it was a tough year. We all saw that. I felt bad for the players, for the coaches, because I know they put the work in. The results just weren't there. And it's going to be a tough offseason. We've already lost a couple with Jamison Battle, Trey Tompkins, Cooper is leaving, Henley, we lost him already too. So it's going to be interesting to see what this team looks like moving forward. But hey, at the end of the day, we can't do any worse than we did this year. And it's only up from here. I think it's going to be a big season for a lot of people. I think it's a prove-it year for a lot of people. So that gets me excited because I know all these guys are, hungry. I know Pharrell's going to come back hungry. I know Brady's going to come back hungry. You got Parker coming in now with Isaiah coming back. So, you have a group of guys who, want to make up for this year. So I think the future is still bright. And but it was a tough year, and I think this is a learning experience for everybody involved.
Yeah, I agree with Trev. I mean, the good news is we got a lot of freshmen coming back. Obviously, we lost one with Henley, but we got a lot of freshmen coming back that played a lot of minutes this year. Bad news is we're losing a couple of our kind of better players, in Talon Cooper and Jamison Battle. But, we got guys coming up. We got young guys. We got a couple guys coming in next year as going to be freshmen. And, I would just, think, and I haven't talked to Coach Johnson at all, but I would like them to see dip into the transfer portal here. I know everyone wants to say, hey, let's get some freshmen in, and getting last minute freshmen like that, in springtime is always tough. I mean, either you got to get someone to pull out of their commitment, kind of like what happened with Evans and us, but get someone to pull out of their commitment somewhere else to come here, or we got to tap into that transfer portal and maybe snag a couple players that maybe you were at top programs that just didn't play a ton or were unhappy. Snag a couple of those people, or snag people that were studs on, I don't want to say, mid-tier, but mid-tier D1 programs, similar to like a Battle, to come in and be a stud with experience. So I'm hoping they tap into that transfer portal a little bit, because we need to get some help. We all know that.
Completely agree. I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, I second everything y'all said. It wasn't the best season. I mean, I don't think any of us were happy with it. I can't remember. I think Trev picked them to finish like top 3. But no,
I won this bet.
Oh, no.
I can't wait. Whatever you guys are going to get me, man, I just excited.
No, we got to put an asterisk. That's why this season has an asterisk by it.
Yeah. No, that's a fact. That's a fact, man. I'll be honest. I might have put the highest prediction out there. I don't know what got into us at the beginning of the year, but obviously we were very optimistic during that time. But no, it was definitely disappointing. But at the end of the day, I think it's only gonna make them stronger, right? Like, it's battle scars at the end of the day. Like, they've gone through it. Like, guys like Ola Joseph, Pharrell Payne, Carrington got a few reps in there, but like Dawson even tasting a lot of defeat, right? Someone who prides himself around Minnesota too. Like, I think at the end of the day, that stuff, it makes you stronger, right? So like, that's gonna be what I look to, right? Ben Johnson needs to remind them in this record every day. Like, I'm talking, I put it on the locker room, like all summer, every offseason, right? 6 a.m. workouts, 7 a.m. workouts, like put those rankings up there, kind of remind them where you're at, where you want to get to. It was obviously disappointing. I remember the Ohio State game. We thought that was a big win, but obviously Ohio State, they weren't the best either. But at the end of the day, it was good to see them rally during that time. And just
how excited we were, though? The excitement on that podcast.
We were so hyped.
Yeah,
the season was turning around.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
It was a surprise.
Let's all be honest. Trev said it. I mean, Ben Johnson, the players, they didn't give up, right? Obviously, we were talking about, hey, let's get better each and every day, but they didn't give up. They were playing better basketball towards the end of the Big Ten tournament a little bit. Maryland was obviously a tough matchup for us, but they were getting better. They didn't quit. So we can't get on them for that. Obviously, we just need to change the team a little bit next year, get some guys a little better throughout the offseason, and try to stay positive as much as possible. Because I will say, the state of Gopher Nation is not positive right now from a basketball perspective. So with Lindsey Whalen, leaving the women's program, but then from the guy, men's program and everything that's gone on, people aren't optimistic in Minneapolis about the Gophers. So we got to somehow try to stay positive and hopefully get some good news with some commitments and people in the transfer portal this summer.
Yeah, 100%. Gopher Nation is not happy with what's going on right now, obviously. But, at the end of the day, I keep thinking back to like the conversation we all had with Parker and Isaiah, right, at Tony's. And Isaiah, kind of calling Ben Johnson like a player's coach. And like, I think we've talked about it a lot throughout, this season of episodes as well, where, we got to go get someone in the transfer portal. We got to go get someone that's going to hit. But like, at the end of the day, right now, I'm willing to bet on like a coach like Ben versus a lot of these other coaches who like, you see like Boeheim and some of these old school coaches, they're leaving. They're getting out the game. I think it's because they don't understand how to relate to this player in this day and age. And so I do think Ben has that to his advantage. I think he has to hit on some of these, transfers as well, obviously, because at the end of the day, skill is going to be out there and production is going to, be a direct correlation of it. But as far as the right guy for the job to like develop kids in like 2023, right? Like the social media type era, everything that's revolving around it. It just seems like Ben is that guy. So I'm still trusting in that process for sure. But at the end of the day, man, we definitely got to hit in the transfer portal as well as, these next recruits coming in. And like we had the conversation with Cam Christie. I think we all can agree he's pretty ready to come in and compete right away too. So I think that leads us into our next segment, man. It goes right into the scouting report. So let's just jump right into it. The scouting report, I think the question is simple. We all kind of alluded to it already, but what does this team need to look like next year to compete in the Big Ten? I think we know what we have, but we talk about like hitting in a transfer portal, maybe kind of let's go deeper into that. I'll start with you, Blake, but like what type of players does this roster need to get to actually compete?
I mean, first and foremost, I think we got to get a point guard. Obviously, with Talon Cooper, he played a ton of minutes this year, handled the rock. He's gone. We don't really have that many guards on the team that are true point guards. So we need a true point guard. We need someone that can control the tempo of the game, facilitate, score a little bit, but also get the guys involved in the game. Get Dawson Garcia going. I mean, quite honestly, we need a big year from Dawson next year with Battle being gone and a big year with Enan and Parker as well. But, Dawson Garcia had a good year this year, but he's got to have a great year next year. I mean, I think it's his year, his team next year. But in order to get him going, I think, and get the team going, we saw it this year. I think we could have used the point guard this year as well, with Talon Cooper. We needed just some more guard handling, ball handling skills, guard play. So what I'm looking for is hopefully they get a true PG.
Second, and a shooter. I think they need a shooter, someone who can open up the paint, let Dawson go to work, let Pharrell go to work, let our guards be, attack mode. I feel like we didn't really have that person who kind of took the pressure off of, who opened up the paint for us. So to have Dawson and Pharrell and like some of our guards be the best they, Ola Joseph be able to attack, we need to be able somebody who can space the floor for us.
Yeah, I agree. I think shooter, I think true PG. I think we just need somebody who can go get you a bucket too. You know what I mean? Like, you just need somebody on your roster. I feel like we've all had those types of players in our careers, right? Like, Trev, you remember like Chip Armel is a good example. You remember when Chip like would come in, Chip just gonna get you a bucket, right? Like, we don't talk about the name Chip Armel a lot, but like, we knew Chip, he's gonna go there and get you one. You know what I mean? He's about that bucket, and it was like, last year, I wish we had that, bro. But it was dope. We had that type of player. It's like, who do we have like that? Can we go get somebody like that I don't even care if they don't play a lick of defense, right? They can be Jordan Clarkson out here just going and getting you one. Like, I think we can find that somewhere in transfer portal too. Or, I mean, I just know I was looking for that. I think we can all agree we were looking for that last year for somebody to get you one. I mean,
that's what Jameson was for us last year.
Yeah, exactly. Jameson was forced to do that last year, and that just wasn't – I think we saw a whole different game from Jameson last season as opposed to the season before. Like, in a way, Peyton Willis could go get you a bucket before. You know what I mean? Like, there was guys –
We need a Jalen Pickett.
That's facts.
We need a Jalen Pickett.
That's facts.
That guy can get a bucket, man. He's fun to watch. Back the guy down and then just hits a jumper. I mean –
what Trev said, Jada Pinkett.
I was like, what's she gonna do to help us? I mean, she might make us look better, but I don't. She's tough though. Like exactly, we need somebody like that.
Yeah,
We do.
I mean, that's how Marcus Star was.
the
Like
problem is, let's be honest. We're saying we're saying a bunch of players we need to get. We need a point guard. We need someone to get a bucket. We need a shooter, man. That's 3 out of the starting 5 guys. So hopefully a couple guys craft into that. But we need to get some. We need to get some more players, and we got some room now.
No, for sure. I mean, well, we got like 7 guys coming back. Like currently, I think on the roster right now, and then 8 with Cam Christie. So like, shit, yeah, we need about 4 or 5 guys. So that's probably why we're saying it that way. But yeah, we need veteran guys too, man. I think the veteran leadership is huge right now. Like,
Yeah, I'm curious your guys' thoughts on. And obviously, you want to just get the best player, obviously. But would you guys like to see a guy from like I'm just using as an example, but a guy that went to Duke that just didn't play and was on the bench, but as a stud that could maybe play some minutes and a lot of minutes at Minnesota that's a little experienced, or would you want a guy from say William and Mary that's a stud putting up buckets to come and try to do it at the high Big Ten?
why can't we have both?
I want both.
Yeah, we can afford.
Yeah, give me both.
So if because there's going to be 2 type of players, right? One that's like a Jameson Battle coming from a mid-major that puts up buckets and coming here and hopefully can do it.
Being honest with how the social media stuff is, I'm gonna take the Duke player who maybe not play up the potential because now it sells to your media.
Yeah,
gets people hyped. Now you get to bank on the potential that he could be, live up to the potential that he had to get to a Duke or North Carolina or whoever, big school.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if he could take a mid-major, I think that always works out well too. But sometimes they can play up to the level, sometimes they can't, which we've seen.
The problem too is with the transfer portal. Luckily, we have 4 or so spots, or how many? I don't even know how many we have, but we don't have to be like picky, right? If you have 1 spot left, the coaching staff. Hopefully, you get multiple guys wanting to come, but you got to be a little picky, right? Well, we don't have to be. I mean, hopefully, we're picky, but we don't have to be picky because we got to start just plucking guys as quick as we can get them here before they make another decision. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, for sure, man. Shit, I think I would go after I'd go after both, but like in terms of the player, when I said somebody to get you a bucket, I think we find that more so maybe in like that mid-major, almost JUCO range. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking like that type of player, like where they are averaging like 20, almost 25 at that mid-major, or somebody that's just gonna go crazy and come and get you one. And then I do think I take that bench player at Duke too. I think that is important. I feel like that might fall into the shooter range or that maybe that point guard that we think can kind of control the pace and be steady. I think though you're probably gonna find that type of player at Duke, right? But I think it depends. But we need both of them. We need a lot at this point. We need a lot, but I think shooting's huge. Like, come on, man, let's look at it. The free throw shooting. Like, are we gonna talk about that this season? Like, and how bad that free throw shooting was? Like, I think that's just direct correlation of experience, of just lack of shooting, lack of focus, whatever that may be. But we need a lot. There's going to be a lot that needs to change next year. But at the end of the day, I'm excited. I keep saying it, like Pharrell Payne, Josh Ola-Joseph. Like I'm excited about those 2 guys. I'm excited about those freshmen. I think
one thing too.
Go ahead.
Sorry, keep going. Keep going.
No, that was it. I was just gonna say I'm excited about him, and then I was excited about Caden Betts. I feel like Caden Betts is someone we don't really talk about. You know what I mean? Like he almost played this year. Like, what is he gonna be like next year too? So I don't know. I'm excited at least about the people that's still in the locker room. We just need some veterans and some bucket getters to come in.
Yeah, like our foundation isn't bad, but with the right pieces, it could turn to something really good. I can see like Coach Johnson being in one of those Coach of the Year roles next year if everything goes according to plan based on how this year went and the improvements that they can make for next season.
So you put it out there right now, Ben Johnson, 2023-2024 Big Ten Coach of the Year?
They're going to double their amount of wins in the Big Ten. Mark me down.
That's a good.
God, I hope it's more than double.
I promise. I really hope it's more than double, man. But I think they got it, man. I think they can figure it out, and I think we're gonna see a lot of teams just go up and down because it's just such a weird era right now. It's all about this transfer portal and whatever you have. So we'll see what happens.
At some point, it comes to a conversation too about this whole letter of intent NIL stuff. Like, at what point are you going to continue to steal players who already committed? Like, does this turn to football well, a commitment don't really mean a commitment until the paper is actually signed. But even if it's signed, then you can kind of go back and say you don't want to go if another school offers you more money. Like,
No, I agree,
Well, see,
man.
with that and Trev, you and I were talking before this. It's like, I think they got to do something with the transfer portal. I mean, I think you can transfer once, and that's good. You don't have to sit out, and you can transfer again if you're coaching, coach leaves or something like that. But if you transfer a second time, I feel like they got to start sitting out or something. And I know getting an uproar of people doing that, saying that that's not right, but it's not helping college basketball that people can just keep flip flopping every year. And I don't think the basketball is going to be as good. I agree with doing it once, doing it twice if a coach leaves, but I don't know, doing it multiple times just because maybe things aren't going well or you want a different, something else. I struggle with that a little bit.
No, I see both sides too. I mean, at some point there are reasons, right? Trev, you needed to transfer for some specific reasons, but as a college player, man, we all know, like, keep it real. Like, as a high school basketball player going into college, we got to turn into men. And, like, with that, you have to face adversity. And if you're able just to run from adversity at the first sight of it at any time, like, we're not really helping develop guys and teach them the right way that way. Sometimes, though, I'll keep it real, too. Coaches be on some BS, right? They might promise something, but then they just might have something against that player when they get to campus. And there are rightful reasons, but I think more often than not, as young players, we're pretty naive, and it's usually us. You know what I mean? Like, it's usually us. And so now the fact that you can just run right when you face adversity, like, that's tough. That's tough for me to agree with.
Yep.
Yeah, and the Trev's, you mentioned Trev, but I'm fine with what Trev did. You do it once or whatever. He was at Marquette, then he went to JUCO, then he went to the Gophers, right? In this age, I feel like you shouldn't have had to sit out. But it's more so like the multiple times, right? I don't know. I struggle with that, but that's for another topic.
It is. I think at some point, man, we're going to see soon here, NCAA might start implementing like employment contracts when it comes to this type of stuff. Like, because when it comes to these NIL deals, when it comes to, being able to transfer at any time, like, they might start putting these players under contract in some sort of fashion just because it has become such a wild, wild west, and, you can't get them to commit to anything. So we might see it. It's starting to operate just like the pro leagues when it comes to the transfer portal, right? So it's like, why wouldn't the administrations at these colleges start to act just like the front offices and start to put in contracts with these college students, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year deals? Like, it's going to happen soon. I think people are going to get mad about it, but I think that's a slippery slope of giving, guys and girls the opportunity to make money off their name, image, likeness, as well as being the transfer portal essentially being like free agency right now, but actually looser. You know what I mean? It's going to come to that. So it's going to start coming to player bargaining agreements. It's going to come to a lot of that. So it's interesting to see where this NCAA is going.
Yeah. I guess just quickly, who owns the transfer portal? I've never been at it. Is it like visible to see for anyone, or do you need to like pay for a subscription or something?
I was just thinking that this morning. I have no idea. I want to see
got to monetize that. If it's going to get this big, like, shit, I should just come up with a company to monetize this thing, because there's so many people, and I mean, this is like a huge business. Does the NCAA own it? Like, where is this transfer portal? Is it a legit portal, or is it just you throw your name out there on in the marketplace?
Man, all I know is anything closely related to the NCAA they own. So that's that.
Well, you guys don't know the answer either, though. You can't, like, could we log in and see players in the transfer portal right now?
I don't know. Trev, you know?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just picturing, like, you have a login and a coach gets to log in and see all these players that are on the transfer portal, but maybe it's more so.
The NCAA website.
You said what?
Yeah.
It might be on the NCAA or NCAA website.
I don't know. We need to figure that out. Whoever's listening, send us the link, man. Send us the link. Tag us on Twitter. Let us know where we can figure out this transfer portal situation. I want to see who's in it. And if there's not one, then we'll figure out how to monetize it. But yeah, it's interesting. It's transfer portal era is interesting. But as far as the scouting report next year, man, I think we'll stay tapped in all summer long. We'll talk through, what's going on with the Gopher recruiting, and what we need to prepare for. But I think it's all clear. We need a lot more for this roster, as well as we need to develop what we have here. So let's move on to the last segment here and wrap things up, man. Quick word on campus segment. Recently, I just put out a tweet that, I think personally, men's college basketball needs to move to 4 quarters versus the 2.5 thing. So as you guys probably know, like women's college basketball is 4 quarters. Most of the majority of pro leagues is 4 quarters, as well as, where I come from in Missouri, high school basketball is 4 quarters. I know in Minnesota is different. So I'll let you guys talk to it a little bit as well in a second here. But me personally, I just think it needs to move to 4 quarters. I think the flow of the game, even when I'm watching, women's college basketball, it just feels more like all the basketball I'm used to, right? When it comes to college, when it comes to a lot of the pro level. So I think the flow of the game for 4 quarters is a little bit better. I think adjustment wise, like it's easier to see things within those 4 quarters to kind of make adjustments, from a coaching perspective, even from a player perspective. It's almost like the half thing, it just kind of happens and you have to kind of make an adjustment and then it happens, So that's how I feel about it. I also just feel like for the continuity of basketball, like for me personally, I played quarters in high school. Then I went to college. I obviously didn't go to the pro league and NBA or anything like that, but there was 4 quarters there too. So it's just like, why are they even different at this point? And yeah, again, the women's college game, it's moved to that 4-quarter format. And I think it's made the flow of the game a lot better and more digestible for the fans. So I wanted you two to maybe speak on it. I think you guys both played halves in high school. So maybe as you have a different take on it, but what are your thoughts, Blake?
Trev, you might have to refresh my memory, but did we play halves or quarters in high school?
We started with quarters, and then we moved to halves like our last 2 years in high school. So we were quarters, we switched, and then they added like 2 minutes to each half for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's why
I kind of like the quarters, to be honest. I don't know the rationale to go to halves, to be honest. I think maybe it was to speed up play, but in college, I mean, you got these TV timeouts all the time anyway, so I don't know how much you're speeding it up. I think 4 quarters are almost more of 4 mini games, which could help the game a little bit. So, from, a game of runs, it could slow that down. So maybe games are a little closer. I mean, honestly, you got 4 chances for a buzzer beater, which can entertain fans a little more. I think it would be interesting to go back to 4 quarters, to be honest. I haven't really thought about it too much. I mean, the NBA's 4 quarters too. And, obviously that's one of the most watched sports in the world. And, they're doing the right thing. But my guess is they tried to speed up the game of college at some point. But, at some point, I think a half, that's a really long time. I mean, if you think about it, Trevor, I don't know if you remember that, but like 20 minutes in a basketball game is a long time, especially when you got all these TV timeouts and stuff like that. So I feel like it would break up the game a little bit to have 4 quarters.
Yeah, I never really thought about it much either, but I agree with both of you guys. I like the quarters edition. But I guess for college, I prefer moving the shot clock to 24 before moving to quarters. I'd rather have a 24-second shot clock, if anything.
I think both. What about both? Real? No, I think that'd be cool to have quarters and 24. I forgot about the shot clock. That's a good point.
Well, I mean, if we're going to keep things aligned to how professional is, and we're going to keep it equal across all the levels, then let's do it that way.
I mean, for candidly, I feel like, and I have no evidence of this, but my guess is they do a longer shot clock for college because maybe you don't have as good of players in college than pros, so you can't get shots up quick, legit shots up as quickly. So maybe that's why they give you a little more time to set your offense and get a better look and shot. So it'd be interesting to see if they went to 24 seconds in college, if the game would just be a lot sloppier or not. But that'd be interesting to see.
Trip, real quick, then. I'm interested.
Because you don't have those guys that are the pros just getting buckets, right? You can get a guy that go 1-on-1 and get a decent shot off in 8 seconds, right? You got a couple of those guys in college, but they're not everywhere.
Well, at least they take bad shots anyways. At least we get to speed the game up before the bad shot goes up. So we don't have to wait 30 seconds.
No, I think game up for sure, like you said.
So we say, Kendall?
I said I could agree with you. I think it speeds the game up too.
Yeah.
We'll see. Wisconsin will have a tough time with it though. No, but I like how it speeds the game up, man. I think it feels better. But I'm interested from your perspective, Trev, real quick, because you coached a little bit this year. So you coached in halves. Do you think it makes a difference? It's like from a coaching perspective, how is it from a game planning perspective? Having halves or even thinking if you had quarters.
You obviously get to change more and more after each quarter. If you're playing quarters, you have that time in between the first and second and third. In high school, you basically just you got to take advantage of your 30-second and full timeouts to get through to process things with your players. But this was the first year we had shot clocks in Minnesota, so that definitely helped change the game. More or less the ending of the game, like the last 8 minutes. A team has a 6-point lead with no shot clock. They're stalling. They're holding the ball. So it's been fun to kind of, transition the shot clock to Minnesota high school basketball. It's been needed for the last 20 years.
It's needed, man. It's something I think across high school basketball across the country, the shot clock is needed 100%. But yeah,
is
man.
It in Missouri?
You said what?
Does Missouri have the shot clock already? No.
No, they do not. They do not. It's still slow paced basketball. Hold it for like 2 minutes. No, not that long, but it's still too long. It's too long. It's way too long. All the teams need it across the states though. But yeah, man, appreciate y'all thoughts on it. But fellas, I think that's all we need to kind of discuss today. I think as we go into this offseason, like I talked about, for Gopher fans, we'll stay tapped in. We had Cam Christie on already. We might need to, get Cam on, get a few more players on, just get some updates throughout the offseason, talk through about what's going on, as well as, stay tapped into what's going on in this transfer portal. Hopefully we get some gets here. It's almost, I feel like it's like a lottery, right? Like, and see every day, like, reach out to this guy. Like, all these transfer portal guys have like 10, 12 offers. So it's really a lottery. Hopefully we win the raffle here on some big ones. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think we'll wrap it up with, any too early predictions for the Gophers finish next Big Ten season from either of you. And are you willing to go out on that limb as we wrap up here, season 1 with the Gophers?
I'll say we'll get 8. We'll get up to 8.
8th place or 8 wins?
Place.
Come on, Blake. I hope 8. I hope more than 8 wins.
8 wins in the Big Ten. That would be good, man.
Oh, I thought you meant overall. Overall. Okay.
No. I like 8. 8 or 9. Maybe you could sneak into the dance. How many Big Ten teams made it in the dance this year?
What, 7 or 8?
No, I want to say 8. So, yeah, I think 8. I mean, quite honestly, I think, I got to see who we get in the transfer portal. Yeah, I mean, we said earlier, we need some help. I mean, so I think if they get some, 1 or 2 legit guys in that transfer portal, especially guards, I think that's going to be very beneficial to the team. It's going to help Garcia. It's going to help, Parker Fox, Eden. It's going to help Payne. So hopefully we can get a couple guys, and I gotta go to that 8th place.
I'm not gonna make it complicated. Yeah, I'm gonna say 8 as well. I'm just gonna go with 8. It seems right. It seems like it's gonna be it. But like you said, I think we'll have to have another prediction as we see who we get in this transfer portal. It's gonna be interesting though. But all right, fellas, appreciate your time, everybody. Thank you for listening to another episode of Outside the Barn. This will be the last official, regular season Gopher basketball 2022-2023 Outside the Barn episode. Obviously not the season we all would have liked, but we're on this train. Let's keep it going. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna grow it, and we'll tap back in with all you Gopher fans this offseason.
Beyond the Big Ten is a network of podcasts that aims to be your go-to resource for all things Big Ten. We cover the entire conference with shows hosted by ex-players and athletic alumni, aiming to be your go-to source of information and entertainment for your favorite team. Hosted by ex-Big Ten players, media, and insiders, our podcasts are focused on giving diehard fans and those alums an inside scoop about the teams and people that make the Big Ten Conference one of the most watched and most talked about conferences in sports. We're excited to talk Big Ten basketball with you wherever you may be. Subscribe now.